We have
Yeah, please give us some grace here, as it is our first time streaming here for
we have 7 viewers.
Fortnite
It's
Gaming
already
Club.
increasing. 8.
A8, we're
Everyone's getting in
climbing,
here.
we're scaling, everybody's getting in.
People are getting mad about the hot mics, but it's actually a positive. Liking it.
People are mad about
Heimer
hot
band coming
mics.
in.
There will be hot mics this whole
Mel
game.
as well.
Stream of consciousness.
Yeah, Heimer band's pushed it mid laner for the Ducks. The Heimer and Xerath player.
The Heimer Xerath main. I
Curious.
have I have been at the other end of the Heimerdinger, and it is very frustrating to play against. So not surprised to see that one banned out.
Yeah. Mel gets played a lot too by both supports, AD carries, and mid laners across the league. So I'm not surprised to see that one coming out. Zyra also a priority pick for both of these teams. So not surprised to see that. Yeah, I'm curious what the Falcons are actually going to go for because their team is all swapped up. They don't have their primary jungler planned for them this for today, so
Oh really? So we
they
got a
actually
new.
have.
Their top laner has moved to jungle. It looks like. Is that correct?
I believe so. And then their AD carry is in mid lane. They have a new top laner. I think their positions are all switched up.
Oh boy.
But a Jax ban coming in, kind of strange. I'm not sure if uh, top laner for the Ducks has been practicing or not, but I haven't seen him play too much of it. Um, Curious to
Yeah.
see what that was
Yeah, it's either
aimed at.
you got to think it's either like, especially if your top laner is new to the team. It looks like T Posey's going to be filling in for them in the top lane. So maybe their top laner's just had a lot of trouble with the Jax champion, and he's trying to get rid of that for whatever he might be looking to pick. Because Jack's not a super meta champion except in certain scenarios against certain champions, and from what I understand, it's not a big Frost Breath champion as well. So
Yeah,
see what strategy they come with as they start with the Jarvan for first pick on blue side.
yeah. Not a big fan of picking Jarvan early because there's a lot of counters, especially Poppy is a huge one, and it's something that the Ducks play pretty significantly. So surprised to see a lot of prio put on Jarvan, but he is really strong in the meta right now. Um, he provides basically everything. He can be tankier than you would expect. He has engage. He's a decent skirmisher. He's a good ganker. He does provide a lot, but he's counterable for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Usually you find Jarvan picks to come a little bit later once you see a couple of more immobile carries. Now that you see the Jarvan pick early, even though he is a very all around jungler, you can kind of work around that with some of the Ezreals, the Aries, the champions that can get out of his ultimate. And they're going the Ducks maybe going the other way of just like, ult me if you want, I'll just stand in it and not die by picking Swain here. And then obviously the Viego pick with um, the 34th IS junglers, big Viego main, big Briar main, not catching any bans this game, so gets to play as comfort champ.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I think the Viego Jarvan matchup isn't terrible. Viego has R to be able to um, ult out of Jarvan ult, and then he also can skirmish Jarvan at about any point in the game. So it's not a bad matchup for Viego, but it's also not a hard counter. But it gives their jungler comfort.
For
Um,
sure.
Nautilus showing a lot of engage right now into the Swain, which is curious. Maybe they think they're gonna have enough. I think they're gonna need damage to back that up to be able to actually kill the Swain if they're gonna go in hard.
Yeah, gonna need the burst.
MF, yeah,
Yeah,
MF isn't the most damage, but that is gonna give them some maybe some lane prio. MF generally gets a some decent push, and um, her E harass is almost unavoidable. So it's not it's a good pick to kind of get some prio in the bot lane. And we see the Mundo coming out
yeah, the
from the
real tanky
Ducks.
team from the Ducks. So you're gonna need the burst to kind of get rid of Swain, but it's unlikely that you're gonna be able to burst down the Mundo champ as well. And so if you don't have that sustained damage for Swain and Mundo, you're gonna have a
Yeah,
little bit of trouble taking down that front line. They
It's the
are.
same thing. The Ducks also don't have a lot of damage either, so it's I would say it's both ways. The Ducks are probably looking to finish out their comp with some damage, and the Falcons are probably looking to finish off their comp with something that's going to some tank cut or something that's going to be able to take care of Mundo and Swain.
Agreed. I was gonna
Um,
just make that same comment about the lack of damage. I mean, they do have Viego. Swain's not a super slouch on the damage end, but the sustained the damage is going to be a little bit low on the Duck side so far. So we'll see how they round
mhm.
out that comp. We see Silas Band coming through and an Aurelian Soul Band coming in, eliminating some of that scaling, and then for Silas that might just be um, a respect ban for the top
Yeah,
laner, who I know plays a
this
bunch of it.
the Silas in this league has been, I mean, the worst matchup in League of Legends is the Silas and the Malphite, and so whenever I see a Silas ban, I think it's a kind of call out saying I want to play Malphite. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a Malphite pick here coming up. But
And
yeah,
how
curious to
does Malphite
see.
do into Mundo? Especially because I know that Swain is not a guaranteed mid laner. He can go bot lane, but it seems like they kind of had their solo laners selected in Swain and Mundo. There's a chance that he could be in the bot lane, either in support or as an AP carry. But it seems like Mundo is most likely top lane, and I know that the Ducks' top laner is their Silas player. So kind of peculiar to see the Silas ban, but as you said, it could be to kind of preempt that Malphite pick. But
Yeah,
how does Malphite do into Mundo?
I think the in order to play Malphite into Mundo effectively, I think you have to play him awkwardly. I think you have to play like press the attack and grasp and play for more of a an auto attack build where you just go in and hopefully get a lot of like hard steel stacks and grass procs and just duel with Mundo. But I don't think that's gonna be the case. They're probably just gonna play Doran's Ring and just get tanky and uh, go Comet or something like that. So it's probably gonna be a rather uninteractive matchup that Mundo slightly wins. But I do think Malphite can have like some rune setups that put him in an advantageous situation. But Karma, really good to be able to enable all of these bruisery champs to be a little bit more mobile and support them. I always like having Karma, the ult shield, to be able to have your team move a lot faster, especially with some of these bruisers who just want to be able to catch up to people. But again, Karma doesn't have a ton of damage either, so still lacking on the damage side. Yasuo Malphite, perfect combo. Same thing, Jarvan Nautilus. They have a ton of um, setup for Yasuo on the Falcon side, and I actually think that the Yasuo does give them a lot of damage,
That's
but
true.
they don't have AP damage, which is the biggest thing. So unless Malphite ends up going for AP assassin, I don't think they're going to have any reason for the Ducks to go for magic uh,
Yeah,
um,
and
for any MR.
The Ducks have decided to finish out their team
Yeah,
with Cho'Gath, and they are some tanky boys. There's going to
yeah,
be some some real armor being built on the side of the Ducks. I feel like, as I agree with you, even if Malphite goes um, that AP style of build, I don't know if if the sustained AP damage will be there to cut through these tanks. You can't Malphite ult Mundo Swain and get Cho'Gath and get a kill. You kind of need the sustained damage, so
yeah.
depending on itemization, it might be really hard for the Falcons to break through this line. But like you said, the Ducks are lacking in damage, so we might see a lot of just really long out, drawn out engagements, and it might come down to who has the best hands on who wins some of these fights.
Yeah. It's actually the exact opposite problem for the Ducks too. They have primarily magic damage. Their only AD damage dealer is Viego, so they're looking at a comp that if the Falcons build a lot of MR, they have very few options. And then again, on the opposite side, if the Ducks build a lot of armor, the Falcons don't have a lot of options either. So curious to see how this plays out. I think there is going to be like the fights are going to be extended because of that, because I think people are going to be naturally more tankier because the resist they're building are more effective against the enemy teams.
Yeah.
Interested to see how it plays out, but
So
um,
they are. I agree. They're kind of relying on Viego to do a lot of their damage. So Like, at least their sustained
I'll be
damage.
funny.
They will have that front line and they will have that chase potential. But it's a matter of how those fights start
My counter measures are ready.
and who has
Even
those
if you
leads coming
are
out of the
not.
lanes. Who do you kind of lean towards as far as the laning phases of the early game is concerned?
I have
Who's
more
going to have push? Who's going to have
influence to
kind of
attend
that initiative to push those objectives and stuff in the early game?
Yeah, I think that the Ducks team comp is more skirmish heavy and actually does better throughout most portions of the game. But the Falcons' wombo combo potential and their team fight is very strong. Um, but it's going to rely on them, I think, getting at least like 2 picks first and then going into it. Because I think that if it's a sustained fight where Mundo, Swain, Karma can just keep poking and doing stuff, I think it's going to be hard for them to get their to do what their team comp wants to do. But they got the wombo combo. They have the Malphite ult into Yasuo, into Jarvan, into MF. Like they press their buttons all at the same time, and they have. I think they're gonna be able to win out on a lot of team fights. So, yeah, I would say the Ducks probably have the advantage for the majority of the game, but the Falcons probably have the team fight advantage.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those games where when the Falcons have the R buttons
I
available,
recommend skipping.
they should be very strong and they should be very proactive on the map. Kind of get those flashes out of the other team. If the enemies doesn't have flashes and you have R buttons, you have to be really proactive on the map. Try to eliminate one of those players early and take outnumbered fights after you can burst one of them down with your R buttons. And then when you don't have R buttons available, you're going to have to kind of yield some of those objectives and yield some of those spaces on the map, as I do believe that the Ducks just have a better, more neutral skirmish style where they can be more effective without their big ults, whereas you don't have Malphite ult, Misfortune ult. Your power level is a little bit weaker when it comes to contesting those objectives. So we'll see how this game plays out in the early game.
Yeah.
Looks like they
Yeah, just looking at like skirmish ability and push prio, I think that it's pretty heavily in the side of, or heavily favoring the Ducks. Because I mean, Cho'Gath over Yasuo, he's gonna be able to push out Yasuo basically until Yasuo gets 2 items. Swain Karma is probably gonna have push over Misfortune Nautilus, unless Nautilus has hit some really good hooks and gets the chunk out the bot lane. And then same thing in the top lane. I think that Malphite shouldn't have push on Mundo if Mundo plays the early game well. So maybe there might be a lot of reliance on Yubi to kind of get around the map early game and to pressure the Ducks if they're pushing up on a lot of their waves that on a lot of their lanes with their with the push that they have.
Mm-hmm. Do you think?
So
Do you think that the bot lane does have push from level 1 for the Ducks with the double AP Karma Swain sort of bot lane? Yeah, they do have the spells, but if let's say you take E on Swain first, if you miss that spell, you're going to give up a lot of push in the lane. I mean, I know Nautilus also has a very long cooldown on Q, but with Misfortune sustained auto attack damage, that can't really be matched by Swain in the early game. I could see a scenario where you miss a couple of spells, you miss a couple of like spacing issues with your AP lane, and I can see Misfortune running over that lane if they play it well.
yeah, I think it's gonna matter how the lane starts, like who gets bush prio.
The push control.
Yeah, because again, if Misfortune and Nautilus can pressure Swain and Karma off the wave level 1, then I think that Nautilus can just fish for hooks and they won't be able to use their skills on the wave like they want to. But in a neutral state, I think, I mean, I would, queue up, or just have Q on Swain, queue the wave, have Karma queue the wave, get push, and then just trade on Misfortune Nautilus with the wave. And if you do that, they shouldn't be able to win. But yeah, again, it depends on how the level 1 plays out. Maybe the Falcons go for an early ward in bot lane bush and try and get them some space there.
And
But curious to see what happens.
you think either of these teams are looking for something sneaky, something sussy, something special here at level 1 before the minions spawn, or do you think they're just going to be looking for safety and looking for vision of where the jungler starts and whatnot? I don't really see a huge advantage one way or the other at level 1 for teams, other than the fact that Viego resets can be really dangerous at level 1. But
I think that
misposition people really easily, so I think it's probably Falcons favored for a full 5v5 level 1 fight. But what is your opinion there?
I think the Ducks have it level 1, but I think Mundo is very strong. Viego's still extremely strong just because of his passive, and his cooldown on his Q is really low. And then Cho'Gath Q is one of the most insane CC skills in the game right now. I don't think a lot of people understand how buffed that skill has been since the old school Cho'Gath. I think it's on like a 6-second cooldown. It still does the same thing where it pops up for a second and slows afterwards. That ability is wild. So I do think the Ducks have it level 1, and if I were them, I would try to invade, get a ward on where they think Jarvan's going to start, so that, again, because I think that Jarvan's role in this game is actually going to be pretty important, trying to relieve pressure from the lanes. So if I was the Ducks, I would try to get a word on where Jarvan is so they can scout him out and hopefully track him for the game.
Well, there we go. We are in the game. We are in the game. Let's get to the director. We'll start with director camera and see what people are looking at.
And it looks like that is the case. It looks like
spread out for blue team.
Yeah, but it looks like both teams are playing defensively, though. Ducks are going for.
It looks like the Ducks might be looking to try to find something, a little bit of a delayed invade in through the Tribush or something, or maybe they think they're going to get face checked.
Yeah, I think they were looking for the invade here. This looks a defensive setup, and they're just going to go back to their lanes now. Interesting to see exhaust on support. I haven't played bot lane in a while, so I'm not sure exactly what the meta is for them, but I think that people still go and heal a decent amount on supports, on enchanter supports. So interesting to see the exhaust. It's gonna be good into Yasuo late game for sure. I think it's gonna have less usage in lane, but probably gonna be a rune that scales pretty well for their team.
I'm going to focus on bot lane, as I do think that that is a little bit important. And if you'll see here that Karma and Swain playing really defensive there and kind of gave up that first part of push. So it looks like they might have trouble re-equalizing this lane.
Yeah, Swain starting E there, I think is... I mean, it's fine. It's just they're going to give up the wave here, play it defensively, and then hopefully just take the wave, let it push into them. They need to be careful at level 2 here. Hopefully they know, especially with him choosing E now. Should be one more creep. Yep.
There's the hook. Gonna be a big chunk there on Karma. That's not a great trade for the bot lane. So even though bot lane might have had a winning matchup, sometimes the play and how things work out in the beginning kind of dictate how that lane's gonna go. Looks like Mundo's got some push and he's just gonna take a plate. Not take a plate, but hit the demolish proc right in Malphite's face there early at level 2, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Mid lane looks pretty even so far. Just a bunch of Karma brought very low there. I guess maybe they landed another hook, but Karma's going to have a lot of trouble here surviving in the lane. She might need to chug some potions and get back into this.
Yeah. Diego's pathing down. We might see. We might see a kill coming up.
I missed the kill on bot lane, but really good gank by
yeah,
Viego
misfortune down the Viego. A good timed gank there when the bot lane was really far ahead. The Swain and Karma really needed that gank to come in to be able to save them, push in their late. Yeah, but
they trade on the top
Frost
side.
Breath going down on the top side. Again, you kind of mentioned that he was getting in there early to try and get some plates, but playing a little bit aggro and gets punished for it. So
yeah, I saw that.
kills
I saw
on-
that play at the top side, and then kind of missed the Viego play on the bot side. But the kills kind of
Yeah.
go even, but it looks like the Frost Breath diff in the top lane is kind of where the gold lead sits at right now.
Yeah. Interesting to see. The kill goes on to Jarvan, which is what you want to see, honestly. And then the kill goes on to Viego for the other team. So I think the kills honestly going on the junglers is really good. Because I think the junglers are gonna set the pace for the game. So they should both be able to back after these scuttles. Oh, and it looks like they're trying to gank mid.
There might be a little 2v2
Might be a
action
2v2.
happening here in mid lane. Also, it does get level 5 first and gets a bit of a chunk of Cho'Gath, but both junglers kind of handshaking a recall in the bush. Let's see if it actually goes through. Viego stays. And here he's coming
Good
on
fish.
now, so he gets the silence.
He's gonna have
Let's see
to
if
flash.
he can
Yep,
land the W.
okay.
He flashes the W and he gets away.
Great flash.
They kind of needed.
Should be able to recall here. Oh, he's not going to.
He's going to come back to the lane. But yeah, if he lands that W, Cho'Gath gets the knock up afterwards. He's going to have a tough time surviving. So good use of the flash there by the mid.
Yeah.
We got Dragon
Jarvan's gonna
spawning.
have Dragon is spawn. Yeah. Jarvan's gonna have a item advantage right now since Viego did do that gank though. So Jarvan might have Cryo on the next objective. Looks like he is.
He did come back with the
Acting
Caulfield's
up.
Warhammer, and Viego is just kind of continuing to clear his top side. Let's see if he hits the back after the top side to get a weapon. And there he does. He's
Yep.
going to pick up an item. Yasuo also getting a back timing, so we're going to see if,
Yeah,
if Jarvan can find something bot lane, as there is a big trade here happening. So Jarvan shows up to kind of save his bot lane, but doesn't really be able to get much out of it.
Yeah. I think it was unfortunate. I think the bot lane was trying to go in to set Jarvan up for a gank, but Jarvan was just a little bit too far away, and it ends up being a bad trade for the 501st because now their wave is pushing into the Ducks. Viego's pathing towards bot lane, and I think they're going to be in a position they don't want to be in. They're not going to be able to get a ward on a deep ward, and I think barely Copper's just going to have to play this really safe.
Yeah, and
For
then
a while.
with the health totals and with Nautilus's backing here, there could potentially be a gank, or they could push out the lane and really get Cryo on that first objective, being the dragon. But right now it looks like Viego's leaving right as a little timing slips in. But there is a
they
ward
see them
in the
on this
pixel
ward.
bush, but Karma's going forward. It looks like Karma's going to be caught here. I don't see Karma surviving this, but a flash does get away. But the
Really
knock
good
into
pop
the
up
Yasuo.
into a double ult.
But she does get out with the exhaust. The exhaust. That is unfortunate.
I don't even know what popped her there.
Yeah, I think it must have been a double shot with double tap, bouncing off a minion or something there. Nautilus tanking too soon here, and he's just going to get executed by the turret. Viego gets a reset. Viego's going to be able to try to cook something here, but he's not going to be able to make it. And the directed camera sends to be the top lane to show Mundo getting a plate right as that fight there kind of ends. Let's see if Swain can stop
Yeah,
this.
that was a
back.
really good Jarvan EQ into it. Oh,
Swain's gonna overstay and maybe die to Jarvan here.
wow.
No,
That
it
was
Karma with the Q, and then the E pullback gets a little bit of a
yeah.
heal.
I think Jarvan's Q was he'd pressed the button and it was about to start up, but the Swain Q came out before it. So unfortunate. It was really good play by the 501st actually to kind of acknowledge that their bot lane was in a really bad spot and to go bot to try and both relieve the pressure, but also make a play where they had a good Jarvan pop up into the Yasuo ult and got some kills for themselves. But still a gold lead for the Ducks.
And now with the overstay by Jarvan there and the tempo advantage achieved by Viego there, he's going to be able to clean up these grubs, and I don't think that there's really anything that the 501st can really do to contest these. So first real neutral objective going to the way of the Ducks as Viego picks up the 3 grubs, which will be good because the Mundo split push pressure later in the game, especially with this 40 CS lead already at the 8-minute mark. Could be a win con for the Ducks. I know we talked about maybe them having a little bit of trouble in team fights, but if they get 6 grubs and they're just better on the side lanes, it's going to be really hard for the 501st to contest later in the game.
Yeah. once Mundo starts getting, or once he gets Heartsteel and he starts getting some Heartsteel procs, I think it's going to be really difficult for anyone to match the Mundo split push. But I will say that Malphite is likely the reason they picked it is that Malphite is useful kind of no matter what gold you're at. You're just going to ult in the fight, hopefully hit the enemy carry, get an E off, slow some attack speed, and then you've done what your champion needs to do. So I'm not too worried about that champ being under farmed, but I don't think there's going to be anyone to be able to match the Mundo split push if this game keeps going on like this, which
really good play by Jarvan as well there, sneaking in. We didn't really talk about it, but he kind of snuck in there and took the dragon as he assumed Viego would be clearing his top side or getting a reset after taking the grubs. So he was able to sneak in there and get despite the state of the bot lane, despite the state of the jungle, he was able to get in there and get
Yasuo going in mid.
Yeah, there's also a big time
Already hit his ult.
bot lane. Swain ults and he gets taken down by the Misfortune ultimate. And now here comes Viego. Viego has a real chance here to get a double kill, but he's probably just going to be able to pick up Nautilus. And that's probably going to be it on the trade there. But that was an interesting fight as they started. The bot lane started that fight when Swain was 6, Misfortune was 7, but Nautilus was only 5 at the start of that fight. But they were still able to burst down the Swain through his level 1 ultimate with the Misfortune ultimate and the CC from the Nautilus. And looks like the 501st may be brewing a win condition in this Misfortune.
Yeah, it's really good. That the fact that they're getting a lot of gold funneled into Misfortune. Again, we talked about it earlier, but the damage on both of these comps is low, and so I think on the Duck side they really want monies in the pockets of Swain and Viego, and then on the Dragons or on the Falcon side, Yasuo and Misfortune are definitely going to be the majority of the damage on their side. So they want the money going there. So. Right now, looking really good that the Misfortune's getting that. She's about to pick up a Bloodthirster. And then we see Swain going towards a Void Staff, newly buffed item.
He might be going around.
Yasuo coming down here for a gank.
Yeah, Yasuo moving down from the river as they are going to continue to try to focus the spot lane. And I think this is a really good idea by the Falcons because they leave the key of Misfortune there on Swain, and she's going to pick up the double kill here into Karma. What a great move by Yasuo as he finds a window there to get more gold into that Misfortune. As you can see here that every lane is kind of in the favor of the Ducks except for that 80 carry roll, and it's kind of just more, it's like 1200 gold now in favor of the Misfortune, and that kind of offsets the 1300 gold lead that Mundo has in the top lane. So they really need to continue to kind of press those strengths if they want to stay in this game. That kind of minimized the gold lead. It was almost up to 2k.
Yeah, I realized I didn't say Rod of Ages before, but that's what I meant. But no, I think that Yasuo is actually doing a really good job. He's definitely losing some pressure in his wave, but I think he's realizing the win con for their team isn't going to be them diving the Cho'Gath, and so whenever he gets a little bit of prio, he's using it to get down and to pressure the bot lane of the Ducks. And even though I think he's, again, Cho'Gath's getting a lot of... Cho'Gath's getting engaged on now.
Engaged on as they're trying to do the grubs as he tries to get the push out. It looks like they are going to leave him for dead.
Yeah, not only that, if they transition over to the grubs here, they might get a...
They do get the
1+1.
But let's see if they can get the last one. They should have Smite available to steal it. Nope, Viego's able to get all 6, but he is going to pay for his life unless he gets out with the ult, but they do follow him over the wall. Now Karma wants to kind of chain feed a little bit, but she's able to get out pretty easily. So.
Yeah, that was the best that Viego could have done. Getting all the grubs, definitely good. It would have been good if he could have gotten out with his life, but he did what he could. But that was just all right. I don't know if they have the damage to kill the Mundo here. Even the next Q, he just ulted, and it might.
Now he ults, and now Cho'Gath's here with the TP, and it's not looking good for him outright.
Dax for the Cho'Gath.
Flash briefcase doesn't quite land.
Mundo doesn't have ulti here. Do they have the damage? Yasuo needs to be able to go in.
They can't get it. They don't get a knockup, and he's unable to get in.
Yasuo's in now. Oh, Swain goes down in the bot lane. Can Yasuo finish off the Cho'Gath though? I don't think he has the damage, unfortunately. He's just perma CC'd here by the Karma and the Cho'Gath. And he's just going to take E and die there. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yasuo just didn't really have a play. There was just too much CC for him to get in. All in all, trades going about a 1K extra gold lead for the Ducks there. So now we're up to 2K advantage for the Ducks.
I seem to have somehow turned on some sort of team fight mode, but unable to get it off here in the camera mode. Figure this out. I don't have
Dragon going down
on the sides of the screen anymore.
Yeah.
Rookie mistake over here, by
I think.
but
Yeah, Ducks are trying to. I mean, if I was the Ducks, I would try to accelerate this match as much as possible. And so I think getting these breaks is really good. They're probably going to want to start trying to take that mid lane. The mid lane tower has already taken about half its life, so trying to get that mid lane tower down and then transition their bot lane into mid so they can relieve some of that pressure that Misfortune's doing on them right now. But otherwise, I'm still kind of worried about the Ducks' damage profile. Cho'Gath doesn't seem to be going for the AP Bruiser build at all. He's got some Fire Cape, and he's building towards either a Warmogs or a Heartsteel. So interesting to see that. We see a bot lane fight coming out.
yeah, they're trying to shut down this Misfortune as Diego comes in and gets a lot of damage, and Karma has to flash out, but she does get killed by Misfortune right before she goes down to Diego. But Diego probably getting a double kill here. They're going to leave this one for Swain, as they do agree with you in that he needs some gold here. He needs some money to kind of to get their damage kind of sorted, because I agree that they're going to need some.
Yeah. I think I just disagree with how the 5 of Hearst are putting the resources now. We're transitioning the Yasuo up the top and the Jarvan up the top, I think is actually going to do them worse in the long run, because Mundo is so strong now that I don't think they can actually make a play on him. And so this is just going to, as I say that, they're trying to make a play on him.
They're going to try to make a play on him.
Yeah.
They got the 3-man here, and they're going to have a bunch of ultimates available. So if they can't kill him in this scenario, then it's going to be really, really bad for them, as this guy's going to survive for a really long time. Nautilus is even here to kind of beat him up and eventually take him down. But you did cast their Curse Frost Breath a little bit there, as they are able to take him down. It took a lot of investment as Karma comes in, and she's going to try to continue.
Cho'Gath has a really good play here.
Cho'Gath
I think
does
he's
get
going to be able to do a lot of damage.
on the Jarvan, and then it's going to get the Viego to reset, and it might be a full wipe here for them, as Viego's going to get the Nautilus, and can he continue onto the Malphite? Lands a max range hook on the Malphite. He's going to be able to ult and clean up the Malphite as well. That is going to be a very, very fed Cho'Gath, as he is now 6-1 and has a 400 gold bounty. The mid lane tower is going to fall. They're going to be able to get the Rift Herald if that's what they want. It's kind of collapsing here as we look at a 5K gold lead for the 34th IS.
Yeah, Cho'Gath's a powerhouse in those kind of skirmishes. You really don't want to take them against him in the mid game like that, but I mean, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. He was 4-1. I think he's 6-1 now. I think the Ducks or the Falcons are kind of looking for anything they can get.
Yeah, their little damage issue might not really be a matter of import when it comes to the fact that we might just have a wallet diffy in most of these games here, and most of these fights here going forward. I don't think that the Falcons can really try to be getting any fights without Misfortune involved. If Misfortune's not there, I don't think you have the damage to really kill anybody. Yasuo, he's got some good farm. He's 2-1-6. He's not a non-factor, but he's not going to have the uptime in a lot of these fights against these tanks that he'll need in order to get Karma.
Yeah, I mean, we have engage going on.
And they are able to take her down with the Nautilus ultimate. They're going to try to leave that to Yasuo, but he's just going to have to take that one on Jarvan.
That's good, but I don't know if you just saw up in the top lane, we had the Malphite auto-attacking Mundo for everything that he had while he was just auto-attacking the tower, and the entirety of the tier 2 went down there, so I can just see that continuing to happen. We see a TP coming in from Mundo here behind the Yasuo.
This could be really good for the 501st, or the Ducks, as
The Ducks.
Viego does get a
Yeah.
reset, and then it's going to collapse all over them here as Yasuo does get caught overstaying in the bot lane. And the dragon should be up fairly soon, so if they want to collect the dragon after, they can do that. They've got all the tier 1s with the 6 grubs. Basically anywhere that the Ducks want to go right now is going to be really tough for the Falcons to put up any sort of meaningful resistance, as the 6 grubs are going to be able to really chunk those towers down, and it looks like even in team fights that around objectives that it's going to be tough for the Fire First to find an angle.
Yeah, again, I mean, I understand the intent behind it. They're just trying to make some plays with their Yasuo Jarvan combo, but I do think that they need to get their whole team involved if they're going to go for a play any further. Their Malphite just needs to push out a couple of waves and try and get in there so he can help them out. And I think if they get a 5-man, at least their chances of winning a team fight increase exponentially.
And especially now
I don't think it's great, but
especially now that he's proven that he is not much of a stop for Mundo taking a tower when he's there. He might as well join his team and try to make something happen elsewhere, because the Mundo is just, you're gonna need a 3 or 4 hero investment to try to
Yasuo's trying to 2v1. He's hitting everything right now.
He is landing everything.
Flash.
He's
one more Q. He has the entire wave.
Could use the wave to get the karma.
Nice.
If he can get out of the Swain ultimate, he might be able to find something, but Swain does flash back into it. Viego shows up and kind of ends his highlight reel there. And the Ducks did pick up the dragon in the meantime, and now they've got 2 tanky boys threatening the top lane inhibitor, and you got the jungler and the bot laner with the Rift Herald in the bot lane. Kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't kind of decision here for the 501st, as they are just auto-attacking the Mundo, but they cannot do anything as he takes a tower in their face. The Rift Herald is taking the tier 2, but they are now engaging on the Mundo, and Mundo and Cho'Gath are just kind of 2v3ing them. The cameras are jumping all over the place because there are multiple fights going on here. Miss Fortune gets the Swain to put back up, but now she's going to be in trouble from the Viego stun, as it looks like she's going to get ulted on, and it might be tough for her to get out of here alive, as it looks like a 4-man wipe. Yasuo able to clean up the Cho'Gath there in the end, and that'll be a little bit of a consolation prize, but it won't be too much as they take the bot inhibitor, and with Karma pushing down the mid lane, they could swing to that, or they could all just reset, spend some of the gold that they have in their coffers, and come back out for an even stronger push. Mundo going to stay here in the top lane, since he knows that there's not really a lot that anybody can do to stop him, as he decides to disengage, pick up the blade, and recall. I think he has 2,200 gold. Viego has 2,200 gold. They are going to be the last one.
Yeah, we talked earlier about Mundo might actually be dead here.
That is surprising. Yasuo is a little bit online, as if he can reconnect here, Mundo will go down. But I don't know if they quite have enough with Karma showing up.
We did talk earlier about their damage profiles, though, and I do think that the Ducks kind of acknowledge that. You'll see that they have Ninja Tabbies almost across the board, but the 501st hasn't invested in magic resist nearly as much as I think they should. And I think that might be for the kind of for their own end, because I mean, all the damage coming out right now, although Viego is pretty fed, is majority magic damage. So I think if they would have put some money into Merc Treads, it would have benefited them pretty well.
Agreed. Maybe instead of a shield bow, you might see a Hedge Drinker or something like that, or this Bramble Vest, even though I know that it's poor on Malphite. Maybe investing some of that into a Kmith or one of the cheap magic items, magic resist items, as well as the Merc Treads might have had some real value, as a lot of Mundo's damage is magic as well.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much they can do to stop this. There's this Cho'Gath and Mundo are so tanky, and again, they already have so much armor that actually Mundo doesn't have any armor himself. He's just going full health, but the Cho'Gath there with the Sunfire and the Thorn Mail and the Ninja Tabby, it's just, I think it's gonna be difficult for them to do any real damage to them.
It looks like they're going to re-inhib them and then decide to back out. Maybe they're looking to just have them
this
stuck
might
in
be
their
a
base. Here
play,
comes
though.
the engage. Miss Fortune ulti is a
good
little bit off
Malphite
the
ult.
mark, but there's a really good Malphite ult and a really good Yasuo connection. But Yasuo does eventually go down to the top. The Cho'Gath Misfortune can't get out. She doesn't have the mobility. Nautilus gets cleaned up, and Jarvan is whimpering back to base, as it
Yeah.
does look like the Ducks have been able to end the game here.
Again, not a bad engage. I just think we're looking at different champions now at this point. It would have been really difficult for them to try and outplay that team fight, but looking like it's gonna be a GG.
Pretty one-sided, unfortunately, there, as that game was kind of in the Ducks' favor from the early game start. There was a lot of opportunity for the Falcons in the bot lane, but eventually the Ducks took some of their advantages from the other lanes, kind of invested it in making sure the Misfortune didn't get carried away, and was really able to finish off that game pretty well. They used 6 grubs. They walked up to the towers. They said, "Can you stop us?" Killed the towers, and unfortunately the Falcons weren't able to stop them. So pretty big win for the Ducks there, as the 501st was one of the strongest teams in the league and had a very good record. I know they're missing some of their players, but this is definitely going to be a matchup we could definitely see in the playoffs. So looking forward to see how that shapes up in the future.
Yeah, I think the Ducks played pretty consistently across the board. I think from the beginning to the end of the game, they just I think we had their champs in the right places and were doing the right things. I think early game, the Falcons had a really good idea of kind of how to open the game up, but then I think they kind of lost it a little bit when I think they realized that the Mundo was kind of getting out of hand and they didn't know what to do about it necessarily. So I think they put some resources to try and deal with it, but I think it was a little bit too much and ended up being for the favor of the Ducks. But for the interview here, we are newbies. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know how the interview works either, but who do you want to talk to? I think we're supposed to pick like a player of the game, and then we just see if we want to talk to one of those guys. But if you have a target that you think we might get some good information out of, we can go for that, or we can try to talk to. I wouldn't mind talking to Cho'Gath. I think that Vandal City Bandit really may have a reputation as a bit of a Heimerdinger Xerath 2-trick, but I think that his Cho'Gath game here was really, really solid, especially into what seemed to be a really good Yasuo player. Yasuo was definitely making some moves there, so I wouldn't mind talking to him and seeing how that matchup played out for him.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me hop down. Actually, you should hop down since I got the stream. Or pull them up. I don't know. We don't have control of these things to move people around the Discord to get them in here. But very interesting game. Yeah, I think the 6 grubs with this team comp really kind of accelerated the game a lot. I think that if the Falcons were able to get some control of the grubs area in the early game, it might have slowed down the pace of the game and allowed them to collect some items and really even out the gold score and give the Misfortune an opportunity to scale to a point where she could actually kill the tanks, and the Yasuo as well. Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately the Cho'Gath is not here, so we're gonna have to go with our second string. But we're able to talk with Callahan, the Mundo in the top side.
Mundo in the top side.
Hello, hello. It's me, the Mundo in the top side. That's what they call me.
Yeah. How is it going? How was the game? Did it go as planned? And did you feel like the team comps were in your guys' favor? Did you feel like the lane was in your favor? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I guess from like as soon as we saw them pick the Malphite, I was like, oh, they got J4, like MF, Malphite. This is some crazy like Wombo comp. And then they said, you know what? Yasuo. And then so it was just nothing but Wombo. And I'm like, well, you know, we've got a Dr. Mundo, a Swain, and a Cho'Gath. Like, we're just gonna be so tanky that even if they hit like the perfect Wombo combo, I think we still just like tank through it. So I think we had the draft edge, and then lane went pretty well for me. I think they were playing really aggressive towards bot side, but our bot side was playing around it really well. They died only like two times, I think. So despite them the 501st having like 4 people just living bot side. So
Yeah, their early game kind of I don't want to say neutralized your advantage, but the 80 carry did have about a 1200 gold lead while you had a 1300 gold lead in the top side.
oof.
How did you think that you were able to transition your advantage from the top side into the rest of the map to kind of not let that misfortune snowball out of control as she does scale pretty well and she is a high damage dealer if she gets a good scenario for that ultimate. So how were you guys able to take the advantages you had on the top side of the map and transition those to the bot side?
So actually, I think Mundo's like a really greedy top laner, so I kind of just am eating up all of the resources top lane that I can, and I feel like they have to either deal with me or I'm just gonna get too big and they won't be able to deal with me later. So I think a good example of that was J4 did come top like I think level 3 and then he chased me around for like 20 seconds. So I wasted a lot of his like tempo. And then there was another play where they sent 4 people top to kill me. And I believe they used 3 ultimates. So they used Yasuo, Malphite, and J4 ulti on me. And I still survived for like 15, 20 seconds or something like that. I think I was just eating a lot of pressure, and that gave the bot lane the opportunity to kind of catch back up despite being camped early.
Yeah, I think it was
Hey guys,
I think it's a difficult
that's fun.
matchup for Malphite because of the push that he has.
Mhm.
I think it's hard for him to actually be able to get in and neutralize you himself. I think
Yeah.
I mean maybe there was some different runes that he could have picked to be able to do it, but we were kind of talking about that before. If he goes press the attack and plays a little bit more bruisery, then maybe
Mhm.
he can deal with you better. But I think um, it,
I'm
it
gonna
kind
be
of looked
honest.
like he was trapped under tower for the entire game. So um,
I'm
and I
not
do
sure.
think
Sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, you got it.
I was gonna say I don't know if PTA is good. I haven't tried it, but I think
There's
definitely Grasp is better. Like if he went the Grasp rune page, it would have made him tankier and it would have made him have more sustain and deal more damage to me in close range. But also something I really like to do on Malphite against people that can't like poke me before I can poke them is first strike actually, and then just farming them for gold.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think if he's going to go for the AP route, that's
Yeah,
probably pretty decent, and he could try and one shot the waves with E, and then just poke you out. But I do think that sustain would be on your
yeah,
side.
yep.
PTA is just something that I know a lot of. There's a lot of Chinese and Korean one-trick Malphite players that do it into a lot of the tankier matchups, like
Oh,
Ornn, Mundo. And it's sometimes they go Triforce even, and they'll just play like Triforce and then go full tank after, and try and go for more of a skirmishy, like bruiser type
that's really
Malphite.
interesting.
And it actually does decently well into a lot of the matchups that kind of just push him out of the lane. But either
Yeah,
way, I think you guys did pretty good
Yeah.
in that mid to late game. I think there was a lot of priority that you guys put on some skirmishes. But did you feel like the game was pretty controlled, or do you feel like it was kind of just like I feel like there was a lot of team fights that just like the 501st would gank mid and then they would go to the grubs and then you guys would just end up having like a 3v3 in river. So do you feel like it was pretty chaotic or do you think it was rather controlled and you guys were just kind of had the pacing of the game pretty much the entire time?
I think our team actually really likes mid lane, or sorry, mid game skirmishes. Like one, just having Viego with the resets, he just goes crazy, and we basically have like 2 tanks that deal a lot of damage, and then even Swain gets really tanky. So I think they kind of have one opportunity, to really pop off with a fight, and then once their ults are down, they're like way weaker than we are. Like we have the gas to keep going after we
Mhm.
use ults and everything like that. So yeah, I think it was just um I think it was chaotic, but it was one of those things where it was a good chaos for us. So um yeah.
Yeah, I really good win for you guys. It's a really good confidence builder, beating one of the best teams in the league, despite the subs and little role changes that they had to have. But
Mhm.
taking down one of the best teams in the league as you head in closer to the playoffs, it should be a really good confidence builder for the Ducks team. So, congratulations on your victory, and thanks for joining us for the interview.
Yeah,
Yeah,
eight
thank
two
you.
now for you guys. So, if the 501st win tomorrow, there will be a tiebreaker between the two of you. But so
Yeah.
I guess we'll watch tomorrow's game to kind of see what the future holds for you guys. But otherwise, good job today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Alright.
GG's.
Hoping for the tiebreaker. GG's.
GG's.
Yeah, I guess that's it
You-
for the stream. So, thanks for joining us, and join us next time for our games, and we'll see how it goes. Unless there's another game. Is there a second game tonight?
That was the
No.
only game.
That was the only game.
Yeah.
So there we go. I guess we're done.
Tomorrow there will be 2 games.
Well, tomorrow will be 2 games.
15
I don't know if we'll be
viewers.
here. I don't know if we'll be here with you guys tomorrow or if there will be other casters. But it was an awesome time doing this for the first time. I'm sure there was
Yeah.
some issues with sound volumes and mic volumes and the observer duty, but we'll always try to improve. So if you have any feedback, let us know. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun. GG's.
Alright, but you're kind of bad.